I went through every single NFL team and analyzed what they did in the offseason, the free agency, any trades they may have done, what they did in the draft, and I'm going to give you analysis and outlook from a fantasy football perspective on every single NFL team. Let's go. Not too long ago, this team was trying to land J.D. McKissic. Well, they came like 1 millimeter shy of landing him. They did not, but instead, they drafted James Cook in round 2, pick 31. And that means that James Cook has the highest draft capital out of any running back in this backfield. Now, he doesn't have any size or power, but he is going to be used. And we're going to really like him in PPR leagues. He has the speed, excellent pass catcher. So I'm talking a little bit of Matt Breida, a little bit of course, J.D. McKissic, a little bit James White. He's going to play that role. If you can get him at a good value, I like it in PPR leagues. The Patriots drafted one of my favorite running backs in this draft, Pierre Strong. Absolutely love him, but I hate this backfield in terms of fantasy. We all know it's a nightmare. They are the gold standard when it comes to running back by committee. But what does this mean? Probably that Damian Harris isn't going to be there that long. Could get the Sony Michel treatment, maybe gets traded, or doesn't re-sign with the team. The Patriots do have a good amount of weapons in the passing game, but they were missing one thing. They went out and got it, and that was speed. They drafted Tyquan Thornton. He has the fastest wide receiver in the entire draft class, 4.28 40 time. Now, he's going to be inconsistent, may not be used that much. I like him. Most people hate him. But what does that mean? That means that Mac Jones is a winner. That means that he will help stretch the field vertically and open things up underneath. So the tight ends, the running backs, those short passes to Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, it's going to really help Mac Jones. And just look at this depth chart for the Dolphins. I guess that's all I can really say. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, Trent Sherfield, those are the wide receivers. Running backs, Chase Edmonds, Sony Michel, Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed, Zaquandre White, rookie. That's a lot of running backs. And tight end, we got Mike Gesicki, a little bit of depth there. And left tackle, we got a new guy on the team, Teron Armstead from the Saints, really good. So yeah, this all helps Tua, but I just don't have a lot of trust in Tua. Let's see what he can do. No excuses for Tua this year because he's got like the best weapons and best supporting cast, and maybe not the best O-line, but should be a much improved O-line. The Jets traded up to round 2, pick 4 to draft their guy, running back Breece Hall. He will be used. Workhorse role, yeah, in the modern day NFL, I'm going to go ahead and say Breece Hall is going to be a workhorse, but don't count out Michael Carter. He will still be sprinkled in. Pretty good runner, a little undersized, and will be involved in the pass game. Still, Breece Hall will be a workhorse. Joe Burrow still has room to improve. He's only played 30 NFL games. He has great receivers. I'm going to go ahead and just call him elite. He's fun to watch. He's a great quarterback. And the Bengals did him a solid this past offseason. They went and got depth and quality at the O-line position. That's going to really help out Burrow. Love watching him play. The Steelers always have a good eye for wide receiver talent, and George Pickens should be a day one starter, but I'm really intrigued with Calvin Austin. 4.32 40 time, really good sleeper. I think he's going to find a way to get on the field. He's just 5'8". That screams like maybe he might have a slow start. A dynasty sleeper for sure in fantasy, but could be inconsistent. We don't know how the fantasy ADP is going to work, but I got a feeling one guy I'm going to go all in for because it's going to be great value is going to be David Bell. The only reason David Bell fell in the draft was because of his 40 time, 4.65 40 time. But as of right now, he's the number 2 target in the pass game, the number 2 wide receiver on the Browns. And if Deshaun Watson is playing, he's not suspended, I'm drafting David Bell in redraft and dynasty in every league. I absolutely love him. The only way that I'm going to hop off the David Bell train, other than Deshaun Watson not playing, is if they go get another wide receiver like maybe Will Fuller, but he's pretty injury / suspension prone. Yeah, if they get Will Fuller, I don't know. I might not be as intrigued to getting David Bell, but how many games is Fuller really going to play anyway? Every single Ravens running back got injured last year. they're going to go back to running the ball this year. This is a new year. They're like, okay, we tried that thing when everyone got hurt and we tried to scramble things around. We tried to do that in 2021. No, we're going back to what works. We're going back to this identity. We're going to run the ball. We're going to power run. We're going to run with Lamar. We're going to use 2 running backs. We're going to use a fullback. We're going to use 3 tight ends. That's going to be this team this year. An obvious analysis here, of course, Hollywood Brown traded to the Cardinals, so that's going to be a huge boost. 2 big winners, Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. You already knew that, though. I'm a little bit more intrigued on who's going to be the number 2 tight end. Probably not worth anything in fantasy this year in 2022, but they did draft 2 rookies, Charlie Kolar and Isaiah Likely, so I want to see them develop and see which one is going to be the pass-catching tight end, if any. I don't know if this is going to be fantasy relevant. I'm just a fantasy nerd, so I'm just curious to see what's going to happen with that second tight end spot. I'm also all in on Treylon Burks. His pro comp is, get this, A.J. Brown. At least for me, he is. And he's replacing A.J. Brown. This is like a Shakespearean poetry. This is beautiful. I love it. I fall in love with this tale. I'll draft Treylon Burks in Dynasty. Probably draft him in some redraft leagues. Also, Burks' skill set is going to fit really well with this play-action offense the Titans like to run. Another tight end that I'm intrigued about is running back Hassan Haskins. Drafted round 4, pick 26. If anything were to happen to Derrick Henry, I think Haskins is the clear-cut backup behind him, so this could be a top 10 running back if Henry misses time. Also, if you haven't heard, Deontay Foreman is a Carolina Panther, so he's gone. I really do see Hassan Haskins being that number 2 running back in Tennessee. Michael Pittman is the clear-cut big dog alpha wide receiver 1 on the Colts. But get this, they improve the quarterback position. They go from Wentz to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's better, right? Zach Pascal, now on the Eagles. T.Y. Hilton, he's a free agent. And guess what? Guess who I really like? Alec Pierce, rookie wide receiver drafted in round 2, pick 21. I project him to get the second most targets on that team in the passing game. A super sleeper in all formats. Not a lot of hype right now, so hopefully nobody else is hyping him up. One guy my dynasty community really thinks is a great value pick is Texans running back Dameon Pierce. But here's the ugly truth. The Texans last year were dead last in rushing, dead last in run blocking, and Dameon Pierce is an average running back. He was drafted round 2, pick 2, and this is a below average offense. Like, let's just face it, he's not going to have a ton of upside. So watch out. I'm just saying, if you draft him in Dynasty, might not be this year where he explodes, and in redraft, doesn't have a lot of upside to help you win your league. So I'm going to see where he's going, but overall, I'm not a fan. I'm excited to watch the Jaguars this year, and it's really only because of one player. Just me personally. I want to see Travis Etienne play. He's a winner this year because they didn't draft any running backs. They didn't add any running backs except for one late round draft pick. And also Carlos Hyde is gone. So I can't wait to see Travis Etienne this year. Great pass catching back. We all play PPR. Just going to be fun. I want to see what he can do. I like this guy every year, and I've been wrong. It's been bad. But I'm liking him again this year. It's all about value. So the Chiefs do add Ronald Jones. I get that, and he's going to steal a lot of carries away from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But peep this. Jerick McKinnon's gone. Darrell Williams gone, or they're at least currently free agents. The Chiefs only really addressed the wide receiver position. They didn't go add a lot of other running backs in the draft or nothing like that. So yeah, Ronald Jones can run, but he's not really known as a pass catcher. So in PPR leagues, and everyone, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire has left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. He's such a huge disappointment. People get PTSD just hearing his name. So this guy's going to fall quite a bit in drafts. Just what I'm guessing. Just very unsexy right now. And then in PPR though, He's going to be catching a lot of balls, so don't sleep on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not on this offense, not on the Chiefs. So he should be working on his pass catching, solidify that role, and go get some fantasy points and fall in those fantasy drafts so we get him at a good value. The Raiders' backfield was an awful mess last year, and this year it's even worse. They drafted a guy I like, 4th round draft pick, Zamir White, but it's going to be even messier of a running back room, and I know some people like White and they're going to draft him in Dynasty, but let's just face it, probably going to be a running back by committee, not just this year, but next year and probably the year after that too. So don't reach for this guy. Isaiah Spiller was drafted round 4, pick 18, and he is going to be one of the most valuable handcuffs in fantasy football. Austin Eckler is being drafted really early, and I see Isaiah Spiller as his clear-cut backup. If anything were to happen to Eckler, Isaiah Spiller is going to get a ton of carries, ton of touches, ton of snaps, going to be a top 10 running back more than likely if Eckler is out. He can catch, he can do it all. He's pretty good. Like, he's not great, but I think he's pretty solid, and he's an overall good running back. Also, Justin Jackson is gone. So that's why, like, Spiller's role I think is pretty solidified. This team is number 2 in pass yards last year and number 3 in pass attempts. So I want to know who the wide receiver 3 is going to be. Josh Palmer is currently going to be battling it out with Jalen Guyton, but I think Josh Palmer wins this job. Could be a sneaky pick. I do think he'll be the wide receiver 3. Elite quarterback. Great passing team, so I do like Josh Palmer. Melvin Gordon re-signed with the Broncos, and that just made us all depressed and ruined all this Javonte season, and oh, that really sucks for fantasy. Doesn't that just mean we'll get Javonte Williams for cheaper? All right, Melvin Gordon is a 29-year-old running back that peaked in 2018. Now, he's going to get his snaps, that's for sure. But Javonte Williams is different. He is the perfect running back for this elite offense. Remember, they just got a quarterback. They just got Russell Wilson. This whole program is going to change. This isn't the same Broncos we've seen the past couple years. Javonte Williams is an elite running back. Give me that running back for a cheaper price, and I'm taking him in fantasy. KJ Hamler could easily take over this wide receiver 3 role for the Broncos if Jeudy were to miss time. Now, I don't know much. I don't really know anything about Jerry Jeudy's situation, what's going to happen with that. I don't think anybody does, so I'm not even saying he's going to get suspended, but obviously it could happen. Maybe not even this year, but if it were to happen or anybody were to miss time like Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy or Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, wide receiver 3, fits really well with Russell Wilson's deep ball skill set, so I love Hamler, especially if you're in leagues where like 3 wide receivers in the flex, you can start 4 wide receivers, or best ball league, something like that, where you do need those boom players. KJ Hamler is a boom player. CeeDee Lamb is a draft day winner. The Cowboys didn't draft a wide receiver until round 3, but also Jalen Tolbert is a winner as well, because he's going to likely be the wide receiver 2 day 1, or at least battle for that job with James Washington, which he should win. So wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 at best. Michael Gallup probably going to miss at least a few weeks coming back from that ACL, so I do like Tolbert in any format. Jalen Hurts has 0 excuses now that the Eagles went and got AJ Brown. We know he can put up a ton of fantasy points, and as long as Jalen Hurts is able to keep his starting job as a starting quarterback for the Eagles, he'll put up a ton of fantasy points. I'd completely stay away from this Washington Commanders backfield. It was already muddy. J.D. McKissic was going to go to the Bills, but he didn't. And then in round 3, they go and draft Brian Robinson to make matters even worse. It's just so messy. This whole franchise is messy, but don't let me go back on that tangent. And Washington tight ends, they're always cursed, or I shouldn't have said that word. They're or always injured, so I would probably avoid all tight ends, and might as well just avoid all Washington wide receivers as well, except for Scary Terry. I like Terry McLaurin, and it's scary to think how good a McLaurin would be if he actually had a good quarterback. Matt Breida is going to be a valuable handcuff, and nobody is realizing this. He's only rostered in 3% of leagues. Just to let you know, Devontae Booker is gone, Elijah Penny is gone, or they're both free agents, and the Giants didn't draft not one single running back. So go get Matt Breida. Even if you don't have Saquon, just go and roster him. It's a great handcuff. This is crazy to think, and we don't have any real solid ADP data yet, but Aaron Rodgers could be a sleeper. We know he lost Devontae Adams, but they went and got Sammy Watkins. They also drafted 3 wide receivers in the draft. Like, they finally did it, and they drafted that position. Watson found the perfect landing spot to be in Green Bay. He's a very high ceiling wide receiver. I'd label him a risky wide receiver, but Romeo, this guy could start really soon. He's a more polished wide receiver, and I think he actually will start. It's pretty much a lock if Sammy Watson were to miss any time, and Sammy Watson, unfortunately, is no stranger to that. Robert Tonyan is a draft day winner, but not only that, he's a post-hype sleeper. Now, he wasn't overhyped last year, but he had a small little fan club. There was a small cult Robert Tonyan following that was really pushing him last year, and they were pushing him quite a bit. Like, people really thought he was going to explode last year. Not a lot of people, but there was a solid group, and he was really disappointing in 2021. He was a bust. But this year, Devontae Adams, he's leaving a vacated 28 red zone targets. Tonyan might do something this year, and guess what? You're going to probably get him even cheaper than you were last year, because there's zero hype. That's what a post-hype sleeper is. There's zero hype this year, but there was some hype in the past. That's all gone. Robert Tonyan, baby. Draft day winner. Oh, he's a draft day winner because, did I say this? They didn't draft any tight ends. Green Bay didn't draft any tight ends. That's good for Tonyan. Irv Smith Jr., he could also be labeled as a post-hype sleeper, I guess. Tyler Conklin is gone, and the Vikings didn't draft a tight end until round 7, so he's a huge winner. Could have a big year as long as he's healthy and... Whoop, hit the microphone. I think he is. Oh boy, Justin Fields, draft day loser. Yeah, Darnell Mooney is the alpha wide receiver for Chicago, and he'll be followed by Cole Kmet. You know, that's all good. We know where the target share is going, but this doesn't help Justin Fields much, and their O-line is still bad. Like, they needed to improve their O-line. What are you guys doing? In my opinion, Jameson Williams is the best skill position player in this entire draft. I think he's the best dynasty pick you can make long term. Right? He's going to miss the first few weeks or something like that. But man, this offense is going to be scary, whether it's going to be Jared Goff kind of more long term, or whether Jared Goff is a bridge quarterback. This offense is going to be great. They got DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, Amon St. Ra, and now they got Jameson Williams. O-line's not too bad. Oh boy, like, they're building something there. I don't know if it's gonna last, but I like what the Lions are doing, man. They had 100 bad years, but hopefully they can turn it around. Did you know that Russell Gage is a wide receiver 2 on the Bucks while Chris Godwin is out? The Bucks led the league last year in pass attempts. There's 731 pass attempts, and also pass yards, 5,383. So yeah, Russell Gage, not a big name, kind of sexy. Tom Brady throwing the ball. Also, Rachaad White, drafted round 3, pick 27. He'll slide right into that RB2 role, right behind Leonard Fournette, so keep that in mind. What do the Saints do in the draft? They go draft a wide receiver, Chris Olave. They go get an offensive tackle, Trevor Penny, to replace Teron Armstead. Famous Jameis is a big-time winner. And look, they just got Jarvis Landry too. Look at these weapons. Mike Thomas, Chris Olave, drafted 11th overall, by the way. Jarvis Landry, Alvin Kamara. So, yeah, last year, the #1 wide receiver on the depth chart is going to be the #4 wide receiver on the depth chart. This offense takes a huge step forward. Hopefully, Jameis Winston can stay healthy. I'm a big fan of his. We'll see how he does, though. We'll see if he slings the rock and throws it. Also, undrafted rookie running back Abram Smith. He's got a realistic shot to be the backup behind Alvin Kamara. I mean, only when Mark Ingram is gone. Mark Ingram right now is like 32 and a half years old when I'm recording this video, though. So, yeah, he might play this year, but probably won't be relevant next year. Now, like I said, Aaron Smith, he is undrafted. He's got to be able to stay with the team, but he is an above average running back as far as being undrafted. Like, he really could have got drafted. I do like him. Sleeper, and like Alvin Kamara, he could get suspended this year. I'm talking more in Dynasty, but I mean, this guy could actually be relevant this year. Mark Ingram is not young anymore. Drake London, drafted 8th overall. That's the first wide receiver off the board in the NFL draft. He's going to have the path of least resistance to be a target hog. You got Kyle Pitts there. He's going to be a target hog as well. And then you're going to have Drake London. Also, another side note, don't let Marcus Mariota scare you off from drafting Kyle Pitts. Remember, Delaney Walker put up elite numbers with Marcus Mariota as his quarterback, and Mariota is, how would you say, a bridge quarterback. The Panthers O-line was terrible in 2021, and it can only go up from here. I love that they went and got Icky. That should make this offense a lot more stable. Now all they have to do is find a quarterback. Here's a nice tidbit about the Los Angeles Rams you may not have known. Ever since Todd Gurley left, there hasn't been one single running back to be the lead back an entire season. They've just been doing this roulette, every 4 weeks, every 6-8 weeks. It's been Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, Sony Michel. Even before that, when Gurley was on the team, we saw CJ Anderson and whatnot. So just don't trust the Rams running backs in fantasy. The Hollywood Brown trade completely destroys Rondale Moore's value. Also, with Chase Edmonds gone, he's in Miami now, James Conner becomes the lead back. Now, 6th round draft pick, Keontae Ingram, I do see him leaping over Eno Benjamin in the depth chart, and I do see Ingram being the number 2 back behind James Conner. The Niners draft Tyrion Davis-Price in round 3, pick 29, and this will likely hurt Elijah Mitchell's value. But it's going to likely absolutely demolish Trey Sermon's value. That's not good if you're a Trey Sermon owner. The Niners were in need of a deep threat, and they went out and got one in round 3, pick 41, wide receiver Danny Gray. Now he's going to have to fight off Jawan Jennings for that wide receiver 3 spot, but if anything were to happen to Debo, like he gets traded, I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I really don't. But if it does, then Danny Gray is going to be a starter. The Seahawks really put an emphasis into their O-line and running back position in the draft. Round 1, they go and get Charles Cross, offensive tackle. Round 2, running back Kenneth Walker, great running back. Round 3, offensive tackle Abraham Lucas. Now, the Seahawks backfield is going to be kind of muddy this first year, I'll give you that, but I want to see what Kenneth Walker is going to do next year in 2023. He also didn't catch a lot of passes in college, but I'm not going to write him off and say he can't catch. He won't catch any passes in the NFL because we don't know that yet. One thing that I've seen when I've met a lot of running backs and seen them work out, they work out and they train on catching passes because running to them comes natural, right? If you're in the NFL and you have RB before your name, that's your designation, that's your position, you know how to run the ball. You know how to find the gap. You know how to burst through the hole and run. You are a natural runner, at least almost. I mean, it's pretty much a given. Like, you're a good runner. He's going to be working a lot on his pass catching. I have a gut feeling, let's call it that intuition, gut feeling, that he could be a lead back really soon and he could learn to catch passes. Maybe he already does. We just didn't see it in college is all. So Kenneth Walker this year, not really. But in Dynasty, hey, sometimes if he falls past pick number 5 in a rookie draft, I'm there, because in 2023, this guy can explode. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it valuable, if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's great to be back. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and see you on the next video.